What's up, guys? Welcome to the Crypto Savvy channel. I'm Craig, and as usual, we're going to be going over the charts. We're going to look at what's going on. We're going to take a look at traditionals. Then we're going to go into a little bit of detail in the DXY, and then finally, we'll take a close look at Bitcoin, and I'm going to show you the targets that I'm looking for. I'll also show you the invalidation point of the bearish case scenario, which has been playing out all year, obviously. Let's take a look at what's going on, and we're going to start out with, sorry guys, got something in my eye. We're going to start out here with our RSI and our descending channel on the Dow. As you guys know, the bottom of this descending channel right now is around 28.4. I do expect a possible bounce from this area, maybe get a little bit of retracement back up into this range somewhere in here. Maybe 30,000, 31,000 tops if it bounces. Remember, guys, if this breaks, we have our next target is the measured move of this rising channel. That's going to be down to around 27,000 points. Now, if we do break that, though, I would only expect a bounce here, maybe a retest of this area, and then our low target of around 22,700 points. It actually could be a little bit higher than that, around 23,000. I would expect some support there. You know, we might hang around in that range for a little while, but once that breaks, then we're going to get around the 20,700 range. Now, guys, I've showed you guys the absolute worst case in the Dow, and it's pretty damn bad. If this trend line here breaks, which is around the 20,500 range, it's going to get extremely bad for everything. So be careful. Not saying it's going to happen, but I'm going to say it's a damn good possibility and to be cautious. Let's look at the DXY. So if we zoom in on the 4 hour, then we'll go out into the daily. I'm going to show you guys some trend lines I'm watching. So we broke out. This did seem to be a fake out to come back down to the downside. Now the top of our channel, let me get this out of here. The top of the channel right now is around 113. We talked about that yesterday. A break below that would be bullish for the small time frames, right? Let me get this off of here. So right now, that's what we're looking at. If we get back above that, but remember yesterday I said if we broke this 113, then we would look for support around this 112.50, somewhere in that range, that 55 EMA, and then a big bounce from there. If we even get down to that range, I do expect a bounce there though. As you guys know, my next target for the breakout of this was 119. Still looking for that. We also have 122 on the daily, and we're going to take a look at that right now before getting into Bitcoin. But as you can see, that's just the measured move of this rising channel here. We broke out, tested it for support. I do believe this is our next area to watch, 122.15. Now, let's take a look at the weekly. Everybody's showing a trend line like we're back inside it. Remember, they did that same thing with the parabola. As you can see right now, look at where we're at. We broke out of this in the weekly, right? So what's the worst case for the DXY pullback on the weekly? That would get us back down to around 109 in the absolute worst case. Obviously, guys, that does not have to happen. If it was to happen, you know, markets may seem to remain stable during that time before we get down here in a bounce. But nevertheless, if you guys are familiar with the weekly wedge, which we broke out of back here, our target, remember, our first target is going to be this 122. This takes time. Obviously, it's not going to be one candle, guys. That's not how markets move, as you can see over here. But that would get us a target around 178 to 180 in the next year or more. So definitely keep an eye out for that. It could be a few years. So that may mean that this is a very long bear market, right? Let's take a look at the monthly, then we'll go into Bitcoin. So on the monthly, there's that trend line again, right? What does that show? If we did come and retest, would be around that 109. But guys, that's a pretty big breakout there. There's no denying that this trend line has been broken. DXY is extremely bullish for years to come. If you guys are interested in trading, definitely check out Prime XBT, by far my favorite exchange. They don't trade against you like the other crazy exchanges with the scam wicks. Links down below. You can use my promo code Savvy50. That'll get you up to a $7,000 bonus to add to your margin. Savvy25 will get you 25% off your fees. They do sponsor this channel, but you get awesome benefits from it. And like I said, it's the most trusted exchange, in my opinion. You can trade Forex, gold, silver, oil, S&P, Dow Jones, everything all from one exchange. Definitely check them out if you haven't already. Let's take a look. There's also a tutorial on my YouTube page. So this is Bitcoin on the daily. As you can see, the RSI is matching up with this falling wedge. Next test will be down here. When we test this bottom, we may be bottomed out there, possibly. So something to be aware of. But I do have my thoughts on the Amazon compared to Bitcoin chart since December 2nd, that our bottom, our false bottom of 7,500 would be sometime in February or March. We get a rally up to 1415 towards the middle of next year, and then come crashing back down to around 3,500 towards the middle or end of next year. So that is what I'm looking for, unless this daily plays out as this falling wedge and we see this low this year. Now, if we see it this year, this 3,500, then that could definitely be the bottom. Something to watch out for. But as you can see, this seems to be playing out perfectly right now. Let me get the RSI off there and show you guys the measured move of this descending triangle. If we break this 18.2, 17.6 could be support, but I don't believe so. That would get us down to this 3,500. Now that would be sometime in the end of this year, maybe even the end of this month, if it follows this trend line around October 30th. So be careful, be cautious. If it does come down quickly by November to this range, that could be our bottom. But we have other areas to watch for support in here. Let's take a look at those, and then we'll take a look at the Amazon compared to Bitcoin chart. Now, let's look at the 4 hour, and we're going to zoom in here. You're going to see a lot of lines, but I'm going to explain them all for you. All right, so right now, the breakout to invalidate this chart and these targets I'm showing you, we would have to break this 20,800 range. We do still have this trend line on the rising triangle, or I'm sorry, the descending triangle around 21.4. So in the worst case scenario, if we break this, that'd be the worst case scenario for the bulls, and then we could look for some higher highs. But as of right now, this was our target from Monday. It hit, we went a little above it, but we did get rejected big time. Now what I've drawn in here could be a bear flag. That's where we get our next targets, right? Let me show you what I'm talking about. As you can see, this does look like a bear flag with these bull trap scam wicks above the 200 EMA here. If we take the measured move of just the channel, this is just like what we did when we hit 48,000, and I told you guys that that would be a great pace to short. Same type thing we're doing here. So if we break this bottom level, and that's going to be around 18.6 to 18.5. Of course, we have the bottom of the triangle around 18.2 as support. Then we have our low here at 17.6. But if that breaks, this is the next target, and that's just the target of the rising channel's measured move, right? The width of the channel down to 16.8 to 16.9. Now, let's take a look at one more thing here. So if we look at this from the break of the trend, which was right here, look at this as a bear flag all the way down, or flag pull all the way down to the bottom. And we take that over to the break of this flag. That gets us, if this 17 or 16.6 breaks, guys, remember we had the 15.5 target, but 14.5 is very important. I'll show you that on the weekly, but that gets us down to that 14.5 level. I do think that is a good possibility that we see that sometime in next month, maybe before, if we do have a big capitulation. But guys, remember, unless we break this 20,800, I don't see us going higher this year. We could not. There is a possibility that we don't see 20,000 for another year or more, probably a couple years, possibly. Anyways, at least a year, I would think. But anyways, one thing you guys can do to help this channel, I know a lot of people say you should have more followers, whatever. Really doesn't matter, but the best thing you can do to help this channel is smash those thumbs up, guys. Take a second out, scroll under the video, look for that thumb, hit the thumb and leave your comments below and share the video. If you belong to any groups or anything like that, get the videos out. We have been dead on this channel for 2 years. We called the first top. I told you to look for a bounce in the middle of June, which we got. That would make everybody extremely bullish, and everybody got bullish, started calling the 100K just like I said would happen. And then on December 2nd, I said, I think we topped out, and I showed you the Amazon compared to Bitcoin chart. And so far that is playing out absolutely to the T. So anyways, that's what I'm looking at here. So guys, I think this is going to take time to get to our actual bottom. Looking at the weekly, as you guys know, this also gets us this 14.5. And all that is the measured move of this rising broadening wedge from where it broke. We bring it down, and that gets us at 14.5. So there's a lot of confluence here at 14.5. If we hit this and get a bounce, you know, this could draw us out till next year to come down to get this 8,500 to 7,500 range, get our false bottom from there, which I'll talk about here in a second. Regardless, the next target after that 14.5 breaks is going to be around the 18. Right around 18.5, somewhere in that range. So that's why I say 75 to 8,500. But I do expect a bounce here, and maybe we get that 50% rally back up to around the 14 or 15,000. That doesn't look like a big move, but that's about 100%, right? We're close to it. And then after that, coming down, because everyone will think this is the bottom if this happens. And then once we crash below it, and that's why I think it'll take Bitcoin years, many years, 7 to 10 years to reach a new all-time high if it does. So that's what I'm looking at, guys. Be careful, be cautious in these markets. Also, let's take a look at the .com bubble compared to the Bitcoin bubble. If it plays out the same, which so far it's playing out identical. And I noticed a few people on my Twitter comments. That's another thing. If you don't follow me on Twitter, give me a follow. It's at CryptoSavvy1. Use the link down below. I'll put a pinned comment in there, and it'll have my Twitter link on it. That way you don't get scammed by the scam fake Crypto Savvy accounts. Anyways, just like we had the false bottom here, that's what happens in bubble pops. I've showed you that in Sony, Nintendo, a couple other ones. Once it has a bubble pop, you always get this fake rally, right? This was about over 100% rally to get everyone bullish again. And then it came down to break this low, and then it took a very long time to get back to new all-time highs. So if it does play out like this, like I said, look for the bottom of 75 to 8,500, possibly lower, around February or March. Get a false rally up to get everyone bullish again. But it would be a good, you know, you could start accumulating down in this range if we get here and ride this rally up just to sell again, because we will most likely make lower lows. And I showed you in the RSI also, it broke a weekly trend line to do this. So I'm sure everyone got extremely bullish only to come back down for a retest at a lower low. That's what I believe. I've drawn that in here. Also, I believe that's what will happen here if this plays out like this. But remember, if we do hit them lows this year before the end of the year, then that could change everything. That could invalidate this pattern. But we'll see what happens, guys. So far, so good. Everything seems to be playing out exactly as we've expected. And for those of you that have been following the channel, congrats. You're probably doing pretty well. Here's the monthly. I wanted to show you that real quick. Our monthly close, if we close below this, guys, below this trend line on the monthly RSI, it's bad news for Bitcoin. And this is why I said it'll probably take good 10 years or more to break the all-time high, somewhere in that range. A real bottom does not shoot up like this, like everybody's thinking, right? So this was in 01. It does not shoot up like this. That's not what we're going to see, guys. I hate to break it to you, but I think it's going to be a long time before you see new all-time highs. So buying down here could be good, but remember, you can see here, this took about 5 years, 4 or 5 years. So everybody here might think that that's because the 4-year cycle, when it happens, only come back down before continuing to the upside. But guys, this took 10 years from this high till it broke. Just putting that out there. Be careful. I don't believe in the 4-year cycles. If it happens, you know, and we get another new all-time high by 2024, like people are saying, then I was wrong. But until some things invalidate here, whatever, this is what it's looking like to me, guys. So, and remember, Sony and Nintendo, I showed you the same bubble pop in those. I think one of them, I don't know if it's Nintendo, has been 20 years and it still hasn't broke its all-time high, and Sony been 15 years, still hasn't broke its all-time high. So just something to think about, guys. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Be careful. There's no guarantees in any market. So thanks for watching. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, smash that thumbs up, leave your comments below. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.